Hello everyone and welcome to my top 10 rotations video, where today I'm going to give you guys my top 10 rotations in baseball. First of all, I judge these on continuity because there's at least 5 people in a rotation. It takes more than one to do it. I also did it on star power, depth, talent, and everything else involved. When you see a name like Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer, you go, that's a good rotation right there. So let's go ahead and start this. Starting off at the 10 spot, it is going to be the Miami Marlins, obviously led by the best pitcher in baseball. You have a decent amount of depth right now. I mean, let's not be honest here. They have the most starting depth in baseball besides probably one other team that's also on this list. Braxton Garrett's a very good 5. Edward Cabrera is someone that you can develop. Trevor Rogers is bound for a bounce back year. Jesus Luzardo is someone you can develop. Pablo Lopez, is he staying or is he going? I'm unsure. As of now, he is staying. They also have Sixto Sanchez, Yuri Perez, all in the wings. They got a lot to work with. Now we're going to move on to the 9 spot, and that's going to be the Rays. The Rays, of course, usually go for deeper rotations. You can see a couple more names on this list. You have Josh Fleming, Luis Patino, Yonny Chirinos, Jeffrey Springs, Drew Rasmussen, Zach Eflin, Tyler Glasnow, and of course, Shane McClanahan. Leading the way with Shane McClanahan is very solid. You get a healthy year out of Glasnow. Eflin is supposed to be, the guy. He's going to be one of those guys because this is the most money that the Rays have ever spent on a contract. Drew Rasmussen, solid. Jeffrey Springs, Yonny Chirinos, all solid. It'll be interesting to see how Luis Patino pans out, if he'll finally pan out. I know they're interested in trading him away. Obviously, they got him in the Blake Snell trade, so I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to help decide how good of a rotation this rotation really is. Now, moving on to the 8 spot, it is going to be the Phillies, led by Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball out there. I mean, Zach Wheeler, look at how he performed in the playoffs. Aaron Nola's always been a solid pitcher. Now you have young development in Ranger Suarez, who's starting to develop and become a pitcher that's a threat in their rotation, and they go out and add Taijuan Walker as well. Bailey Falter, Christopher Sanchez, and nothing really crazy there, just some bottom-of-the-line depth. Depth is important when it comes to starting pitching. I mean, really, a lot of this depends on, hey, how good is Taijuan Walker going to be? How good is Ranger Suarez going to be? If they're both going to be very solid, this is a very good rotation, something you should really watch out for. Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola both have the ability to win the Cy Young. All right, now we're going to move on to the Mariners, which is an interesting one. The Mariners, obviously you have Luis Castillo, who I view as the ace. He may not be the ace on the depth chart, but this is the guy that I view as the ace currently for them. You have Robbie Ray. You pay Robbie Ray all that big bucks. Is Robbie Ray going to finally be what he is supposed to be at his age 32 season? That would be great for them, but that's not what we're focused on. You obviously have Logan Gilbert, Marco Gonzalez, George Kirby. They have a couple more other names I'd really look out for. I mean, this rotation is very deep. They have Matt Brash. They have some other pieces as well. It'll be interesting to see kind of how Logan Gilbert and George Kirby look to take that next step going forward, because that's the goal. If they take that next step, obviously Marco Gonzalez has not been what they wanted since they extended him, I believe. He did have Tommy John on his way back from Tommy John. I wish him the best, of course. But now you're looking at a solid rotation. Robbie Ray is very solid if he puts up his potential. Luis Castillo is insane. Let's be honest, he's insane material. He should be considered their ace, in my opinion. Logan Gilbert is very solid on the up. Same with George Kirby. There's a lot of pieces to look at here. Next up on the list is going to be the Blue Jays in the 6th spot. Yes, the Blue Jays have a lot of top-end talent. Obviously, Alek Manoah, Kevin Gausman. Is Berrios going to bounce back? That's really an interesting point to look at. Chris Bassett was their big add this offseason. Yusei Kikuchi came last year. They're hoping he can perform a little better than he was before. Hyren Ryu has, at this point, been a dumpster fire, to be completely honest with you. But that top 2 is insane. You're talking about 2 aces, 2 of the best pitchers in baseball. Reminds me very similarly to the Phillies rotation, but I think they have more star power in the Phillies rotation. Chris Bassett's better than Taijuan Walker. Jose Berrios definitely has the ability to be better than Ranger Suarez. Doesn't mean he's going to, but this rotation can really be a threat if one of Yusei Kikuchi or Hyren Ryu puts it on. Now, the 5 spot and the longest list of names you will see in baseball in terms of a starting rotation is the Brewers. Obviously, the top 2 guys we know very well, Corbin Burnes, Brandon Woodruff, both insane top-of-the-line pitchers. Now, some other names to really focus on here. Freddie Peralta is coming back from an injury-filled season. This is a guy who has ace material, and he's, similarly talented to a Corbin Burnes, to a Brandon Woodruff. Obviously, Eric Lauer has been putting it on recently. He's been really performing well for the Brewers. Now, this is where things get so interesting with the Brewers. They have those guys. You have Adrian Hauser, and that's a 5-man rotation. Well, they currently have Aaron Ashby, Wade Miley, Jansen Junk. I don't think Jansen Dunk's anything impressive. Bryce Wilson maybe could work out. Ethan Small can maybe work out. Same with Jason Alexander. But one of, Ashby or Wade Miley is going to be a big contributor to this rotation. This is the deepest rotation in baseball by far. Maybe doesn't have the middle of the line talent as the couple that are ahead of this rotation, but this rotation is arguably, it's up there for a top spot. I do have it at 5, but I would consider it a top spot rotation. Next up is the Braves. Now, the Braves are interesting. You have Max Fried, obviously. You have Charlie Morton. You have Kyle Wright, who took a step forward. You have Spencer Strider, who took a step forward. Then you kind of have to figure out, okay, what's next in the rotation, because when is Soroka going to come back? This is a guy I feel like we've discussed forever. Soroka is someone that we really want to see perform for them, and I think at some point he's going to have to come back. They still have Huascar Ynoa, who's not listed. Him and Soroka are both starters. They're not listed right now, but I think they're names to keep an eye on. I don't know too much about Bryce Elder and what to expect from him. But if Charlie Morton returns to form, Kyle Wright's going to take another step forward. Spencer Strider's going to take another step forward. You are looking at a powerhouse rotation for years to come, because if you're looking at the age on this list, most of these people are very, very young. I mean, Bryce Elder is the youngest on this list. Don't know too much about him, to be completely honest, but this list is deep. They have a great rotation. It's going to be interesting to see how they perform versus the next 3 spots ahead of them. Now, the number 3 spot, a rotation that is undervalued in baseball, in my opinion. Even though they lost their ace, they are still the 3rd best rotation. That's going to be the Astros. Lance McCullers Jr., that guy's a leader, first of all. Let's just talk about how he leads the clubhouse's playing ability. He's very solid. Framber Valdez and Christian Javier are the future of the rotation, of course. I think this is a deep rotation and something that is going to continuously get better. Yes, a Forrest Whitley, who at one point we thought was going to be the future of it, doesn't seem to be really in the picture. Injuries kind of derailed him, but Christian Javier and Luis Garcia are going to be bright stars. Jose Aguirre, I am going to be completely honest, I have not done enough research about, but at first I was a big fan of him. I don't know how much he's developed at the major league level. Lance McCullers is a good placeholder as an ace while these other pitchers develop, but the young talent, I think they're all going to break out and go to a whole new level this year. Number 2 on the list is going to be the Mets. The Mets have a really good rotation. Tyler Megill, David Peterson, Carlos Carrasco, Kodai Senga, Jose Quintana, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer. Of course, you have the 2 old men up there at the top. The 2 Greek gods of pitching into your late ages, 38 and 39 at this point. But my question is going to be this. How's Jose Quintana going to perform? How is Kodai Senga going to perform? Jose Quintana has been fairly consistent through his career. He's a solid pitcher. Kodai Senga coming over to America for the first time. It'll be interesting to see how he performs. Cookie Carrasco is going to be great. We know how good of a pitcher Carrasco is going to be. David Peterson and Megill are going to need to step up because the rest of this rotation, well, they can basically be gone soon. The first 3 top spots in the rotation most likely won't be there in 3 to 4 years. I mean, I would be shocked if Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer pitched into their early 40s, but it's possible. And I would be shocked if Jose Quintana continues to go the direction he's going. He's starting to get up there in age a bit too. Yes, he's not dinosaurs like Scherzer and Verlander, but this rotation is still very, very good. Not to mention their bullpen is extremely talented as well behind it. That brings us to the number 1 spot, and that is going to be the Yankees. Keep in mind, this rotation is pitching at the least pitcher-friendly stadium in baseball, but they somehow find themselves at the number 1 spot. Clark Schmidt was once considered a top pitching prospect. Interesting to see how he develops. Domingo Germán has had a few good years. He's been kind of iffy, but then you get into these names. Frankie Montas, Nestor Cortez, Carlos Rodon, Garrett Cole. We know what Garrett Cole brings. We know what Carlos Rodon brings. Now we know what Nestor Cortez brings. Frankie Montas has been very solid, borderline ace material throughout his career. And we're talking about him being the 4th best pitcher in this rotation. The 5th, it doesn't even matter. Your 5th isn't going to play in the playoffs, but it'll be interesting to see who ends up in that 5th spot. This is an extremely talented group of pitchers. Probably the most talented group of pitchers we've seen in a long time. Since probably the young Mets rotation with Matt Harvey, Syndergaard, and that group of pitchers, which they had and let go of. But the Yankees will not do that. Let's be honest here. The Yankees are not designed to do that. They have an insanely talented rotation, something to be very proud of as a Yankees fan. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But that's going to wrap up my list. Guys, if you want to comment down below, what is your list looking like? Who's your top 10 rotations in baseball? Let me know. Hit that like button if you guys like this video. Subscribe if you have not already, and I'll see you guys all in a video very, very soon. Peace.
Yes. 305 to the 619, baby. Let's go. Let's go, San Diego. Live that shit up, San Diego. Let's fucking go. Woo! It's our fucking house. Hey. It's our house right here, baby. Let's go.